What's up, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bardo, coming at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. I'm your host, and I hope you guys are doing well. We're getting into it now, man. Getting into the nitty-gritty of conference season, starting to finish up. I believe most teams have 6 games left in the Big Ten Conference, so that's a little bit more than probably another 3 weeks before we end up in Indianapolis, I believe. Yeah, that's about right. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're warm because I guess we're getting a Arctic blast over most of the United States, but hopefully this finds you in a place that is warmer than Chicago, because Chicago is colder than a you know what outside. Very, very chilly. Um, you want to join the tribe, text me 312-847-2739. That's 312-847-2739. And then like, share, and subscribe to Bardo Media on YouTube. Helps the algorithm and helps get it in front of people that really want this information. And if you know of somebody that wants to talk Big Ten college basketball, in particular Fighting Illini basketball, send them to Bardo Media. I'd really, really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it today. Big Ten Player of the Week is John Tonje. Another Herculean effort, 32 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in the Badgers' win at Mackey Arena over the weekend. John Tonje is the only player nationally to score 30 points or more against 2 top 10 teams this season. So that game against Purdue, and then the 41 that's listed against Arizona. So John Tonje, Big Ten Player of the Week, well-deserved. He's had a hell of a season. Might be up for Big Ten Player of the Year, the way he's been playing. Big Ten Freshman of the Week again. Last week it was Kasparas Yakashonis with Derek Queen, but now Derek Queen gets the nod himself based on 24 points, 11 rebounds, and their win at Nebraska. That was a big win for Maryland. And then they beat Iowa at home pretty easily, and Derek had 18 points and 13 rebounds. So Derek Queen, one of the premier freshmen in the conference, one of the premier freshmen in all of college basketball, really starting to find that rhythm and consistency that we thought that he could get based on his prowess coming in. All right. Who's balling right now? Michigan is on a heater, 6-game win streak. And all of those 6 games, all of those wins have been 4 points or less. That's a mark of a really, really good basketball team that knows how to close down the stretch. They know how to get quality looks. They know where the ball needs to go. Something the Illini could definitely utilize, and be much better at. But the Wolverines, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, maybe the best 2 big combination maybe in the country. I don't know that there are many bigs that you got 2 7-footers that can play, that are interchangeable like that. So Michigan really, really playing well. Maryland, excuse me. I don't want to skip over Wisconsin here. Wisconsin is ripped off, I believe it's 4 in a row. Yep. And the Badgers, hold on, let me pull up their run. But the Badgers are starting to come together, starting to pull it together. It was unfortunate that Kamari McGee got ejected. He was defending, I believe it was Fletcher Lawyer, and Trey Carpenter goes to set a screen. McGee is trying to come around and catches Trey Carpenter in the midsection. And then he gets ejected, but it didn't matter that Wisconsin was able to hold on. Jilly James, Carter Gilmore had another good game. But I wanted to see Wisconsin's remaining schedule because I believe they may have one of the easier ones. And yes, they do. All right, so tomorrow they host Illinois. That's going to be a tough game. Then I believe it's Saturday they host Oregon, who now has won 2 in a row, but they really stubbed their toe there for a while. Then they host Washington. So Wisconsin's got a 3-game homestand: Illinois, Oregon, then Washington. Then they go to Michigan State. They They go to Minnesota, then they finish the regular season against a reeling Penn State team that I believe has lost 11 of their last 12 games. So Wisconsin's sitting in pretty good position right now. Winners of 4 straight. Maryland starting to put it together now. Winners of 3 straight. One at home against Rutgers. I called that game. And then they went to Nebraska. That was a big win for them. They were able to beat the Huskers in Pinnacle Bank Arena. And then they come back home and take care of business relatively easy fashion, 101-75 against Iowa. And so the remaining schedule for the Terrapins, they host USC, they host Michigan State this week, at Penn State, at Michigan, and then they host Northwestern, where yours truly would be calling that game their last regular season game, March 8th. So these are the teams that are really, really playing well right now. Michigan 6 straight, Wisconsin 4 straight, Maryland 3 straight. Who's struggling right now? Surprising. Purdue has lost 2 in a row. And it's no shame, because when you look at what Purdue has been able to do in those last 2 losses, I mean, you lose by 2 on the road at Michigan, and you lose, 10 at home to the Badgers. Yeah, the Badgers got going and got hot down the stretch and were able to kind of gap Purdue in Mackey, but no shame to lose by 2 on the road at Michigan. So even though I've got them up here struggling, they're still playing really high-level basketball. Illinois is struggling, guys. They've lost 6 of their last 11, and they got news that Morez Johnson is out indefinitely with a broken wrist. Morez was playing some of his best basketball. He and Yakachonis were the leading scorers in last game against Michigan State. Both of them had 17 points. Morez was really coming on and seemed to be a fan favorite of the Illini fans. When I call a game, he receives the loudest ovation of anyone. So I think he has become a fan favorite of the Illini Nation. Unfortunate that the young man on that 2-handed block that he had of, I believe it was Jaden Akins, that was the play that he broke his wrist on. This guy goes and says, "I'm all right, just tape it up." He played with a broken wrist. And even Brad Underwood said that there were a couple shots that he missed late in the game that he probably would have made had he not had an injured wrist. But that's a terrible blow to the Illini, who are struggling a little bit right now. They're searching for consistency. So we'll see what happens. All right. Games to watch this week. Only 5 of them, but they are good ones. Purdue at Michigan State tomorrow. That will have some bearing, even though Michigan is a half-game lead in the Big Ten standings, I believe. Let me double check that. They're 12-2. Michigan State is 11-3. Purdue is 11-4. So Michigan State is in first place, but a game up of Michigan State, a game and a half up on Purdue. So that Purdue at Michigan State game, obviously, 2 of the league's heavyweights. That's going to be a great game. Illinois, Wisconsin tomorrow. Can Illinois right the ship on the road against a Wisconsin team that's starting to put it together? That's going to be a fantastic game rather. Michigan State at Michigan this weekend. Obviously, rivalry game, but 2 in the Big Ten right now. Enough said. Duke versus Illinois. Duke, I believe. Let's see. I think Duke. They lost to Clemson. I believe it was last week, but outside of that, they had run off. Where's the ACC? Duke had run off like 12 straight, I believe. So let's see, the Duke Blue Devils have won 2 in a row. They lost to Clemson. They've come back and beaten Cal at home and Stanford at home. And so Duke will play at Virginia before facing the Illini Saturday in Madison Square Garden. It's an excellent Duke team, an excellent opportunity for the Illini. So that's going to be a great game, a great test for the Illini. And then Sunday, Purdue at Indiana, a rivalry game. You guys know how they get down. Doesn't matter really the records. That is always a hotly contested game, like the first one was this season at Mackey Arena. All right. let's get to this state of the Illini program. Talked about Marez Johnson being out and definitely with a broken wrist. You take one of your hottest players out of the lineup, and yet it's another situation where the Illini seem to be snake bitten. Just can't get healthy, can't stay healthy. Trey White hasn't played the last 2 games. I saw him warming up the last game against UCLA. I thought he would get an opportunity to play. He didn't. I don't think he played. I want to make sure because I was watching it. I watched the rerun of it today. I do not think he played against Michigan State. Let me just make sure here. Where's the box? The box. Here we go. Yeah, he didn't play. Gibbs Lawhorn plays 3 minutes. And so maybe Trey White's he's a little bit more under the weather than I was led to believe. But he doesn't play. Gibbs Lawhorn, who's been one of the most consistent players all season, he plays 3 minutes. I mean, no fouls, 3 minutes, no shots. And Draven's been one of your most consistent players. So I don't know what the heck is going on over there with the Illini. They just can't seem to get that, obviously Ivicic going out. He, goes out in mono, hurts his ankle. Yakachonis hurts his forearm. He's out. Trey White gets sick. He's out. I think Hummerkaus had been sick. I don't think he missed any games, but he had been really sick. So the Illini just having a tough year and just cannot find the consistency. And yet what happens, guys, we talked about on here ad nauseum, when Illinois gets in trouble, they start jacking threes. And who's going to be the leader on the team that's going to step up and understand, guys, we missed our last 18 shots. And I believe Marez Johnson had a layup attempt that missed. I think Hummerkaus tried to take Xavier Booker into the lane and missed. But then the majority of shots were from 3 down the stretch. The majority of those 18 missed shots were from 3. And I don't know that I would think Kylan Boswell has enough experience to understand to not get caught up in the game action, that he's got to think and be like, okay, where's the ball need to go now? Who needs to get this touch? Because 33 threes, 7 of 33. Hummerkaus is 0-6. Let's see. Ivicic was 0-4. Yakachonis was 2 of 9. Jake Davis and Will Riley shot pretty good percentages. They were 5 of 13 combined. But outside of that, the Illini struggled massively. Only got to the line 13 times, as did Michigan State. So that was a wash. But Michigan State beat Illinois on the glass, which is unusual. Michigan State had 14 offensive rebounds. So Illini had 11 turnovers. That's not bad. But once again, you go back and look. Yeah, the glass had something to do with it, but Michigan State is 33 of 68. They only take 12 3 attempts. They were 5 of 12 from 3. But they were, let's see if I can do some quick math. 28 of 56, 28 of 56 from 2. That's over 50%. They had 40 paint points, did the Michigan State Spartans. So they took it to the young Illini, cut their water off down the stretch. And, congratulations to Tom Izzo by becoming the leading, the wins leader in Big Ten conference play history, surpassing Bob Knight. So congratulations to Tom Izzo. Guys, come on, man. Terrence Shannon Jr.'s jersey reveal was upside down. That was on purpose, guys. Ironically, I happen to be sitting next to a young man. I won't give all his business up. His name is Jason. And Jason used to work, I believe, for the Chicago Bulls in game management, game day management, or game day operations. And so he would be a part of a team that would be assembled to do something like that, to put the banner in position, to raise it up. There's checks and balances for that. There's at least 2 to 3 checks and balances before something like that is going to take place. That was intentional. That wasn't by mistake. So whoever, I don't know if we'll ever find out why it was done like that, but how embarrassing for Terrence Shannon Jr. and how embarrassing for the Illini program. Like that's terrible, guys. You get all this excitement. Terrence Shannon Jr. has, to me, had the best season of an Illini basketball player in the history of the program. And this is how he's rewarded. He comes back to Champaign and his jersey's upside down. I mean, it's terrible, guys. And Josh Whitman went to the media after the game to to stand up in front and take blame for what happened, but it just can't happen, guys. This doesn't happen in Indiana, at Purdue, at Michigan, at Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, all these different places that call themselves basketball programs. This does not happen. And it was intentional that this happened. Somebody, I don't know, may have had an axe to grind. Maybe they didn't like the fact that Terrence Shannon Jr. was accused of rape. And maybe they thought he wasn't deserving, or to put a smear on his name or whatever. But guys, that was terrible. That was terrible. Illinois, you've got to do better. That can't happen. Again, if you call yourself a basketball program and an elite one at that, it just can't happen. So I feel bad for Terrence Shannon. I'm disappointed and embarrassed I'm taking my analyst hat off now for my program, where I got my degree, where I was a 4-year starter and led the best team in program history. That's embarrassing. So I don't know what kind of investigation needs to be found, but this can't go left. Somebody needs to account for this. Somebody needs to pay for this, because this is unacceptable. Very highly embarrassing for Terrence. I felt so bad for that young man and his family. And his mom is class. I saw something on Twitter that, she was trying to tell people, do not blame the Illinois program. They meant well to honor her son. So I like the fact that she took to Twitter, to X, and shared her opinions, which was one that supported the program and didn't want to be down on the program. So that was class. And Terrence is going to be all class. But guys, that just can't happen. Just cannot happen if you call yourself a Big Ten basketball program. That is an elite program. Can't happen. All right. Ooh, got a lot of questions here. Let me get to them. Yeah, Chad is kind of echoing the sentiments of a lot of frustrated Illini fans. It's interesting, Chad, that somebody on the floor needs to understand that you've got to get downhill. You got to get something at the bucket. You got to put pressure on Michigan State, which Illinois just did not do in the second half of that game. Good to see you, Dory. Yeah, Dory, and Brad's got to be questioned for some of the things that take place. I tend not to try to get on coaches too much, but Brad needs to, he and his staff, they've got to do a better job in game. Call timeout, reemphasize where the ball needs to go, recollect your guys. Michigan State went on a 12 or 14-0 run or something like that, and you're coming down the stretch. You can see your guys are not confident. Call timeout, get them regrouped. Don't let them work through these problems. This team is too young to work through their problems, in my opinion. I think they need more guidance. Kylan Boswell is not the leader that I thought he would be, because he's the candidate, the player that can look around and say, all right, guys, we've had enough 3 attempts. Let's get downhill. Tell Brad to put a call for Ivicic in the post. Michigan State was not double teaming Tomislav, and he got to his shots, especially in the first half. Michigan State was not double teaming the post. They could have gotten Tommy in the post for a higher percentage look and possible and one opportunity, or at least to get to the free throw line. But that's coaches got to take some blame for that. Thomas, I agree. Adjustments need to be made, and we're just not seeing enough of them that lead to victories for this talented but yet young Illini squad. James, I don't think when you break a bone like that, I don't know that. I don't think there's enough time left in the season. Let me look at my calendar. So let's say from today till the 24th is a week. So that's 8 days. 3rd, 10th. And then, you're looking at in 3 weeks. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. In 3 weeks, you're looking at the Big Ten Conference Tournament. In 4 weeks, you're looking at the NCAA tournament. He could be ready in the NCAA tournament. He could be. It's a stretch. I don't know the severity or the nature of the break. Is it a compound break? I know that he had all of his weight that came down on it. So I'll wait to get more information. But I don't know. Maybe the NCAA tournament. Maybe. That would be my guess, James. Thanks for tuning in. What's up, Stacy? Good to see you on here. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Carol, I was high on Wisconsin because they were preseason 10 or 11th in the league, and they got 10 juniors and seniors. And anytime Wisconsin is old, especially under Greg Gard, they're really good. And this Badgers team is playing out that way right now. They are, I think they're tied for 4th. No, they sit alone in. No, they're in 5th place. No, they're tied with Maryland. Boy, I'll get this right here in a second. Maryland and UCLA are tied at 10-5. Wisconsin sits alone at 10-4. Purdue at 11-4. Michigan State 11-3. Michigan at 12-2. So yes, Wisconsin is right in the mix. And yes, Carol, I was very high on this team to enter the season. Yeah, Caitlin. I don't think Wisconsin will destroy Illinois tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen. Can I see Wisconsin beating Illinois tomorrow? Yes. I don't see them destroying Illinois. I think this team has some character about them, and they normally bounce back with a spirited effort. So I don't think that I don't see Wisconsin winning by double digits. I see this being a single digit game. I do know that the Badgers are favored, but don't be surprised to see the Illini bounce back on this one, because that's what Illini teams do under Brad Underwood. After a loss, they typically bounce back in impressive fashion. Let's see. Yeah, and Caitlin, I mean, conventional thinking would be that, Morez will come back next year. We don't know that. Not in the age of NIL and transfer portal. We don't know. Hopefully he wants to come back. Hopefully he loves playing in this system. And hopefully the Illini can, whether they have to match or whatever, because there's going to be some teams that want to back up some big-time money from Morez. So we'll see. That used to be conventional thinking. Hey, wait till next year. It's not the case now, unfortunately. David, it's going to be interesting. Thanks for joining in, David. Good to see you again. Kerry Booth will get spot minutes, but I think what you're going to see, Ivicic, Humrick House will kind of go back and forth a little bit. I think you'll see Jake Davis play some small ball 4. When Trey White gets in, I think you'll see some small ball 4. But I don't think that they'll play Kerry Booth spot minutes, but he won't get a ton of minutes. Curtis, I would think he's done for the season. A broken wrist, that's tough to overcome. And again, I don't know the severity or the nature of the break. It could be a compound break. I'm not sure, but it's rare to see people come back quickly from broken wrists because they're very delicate joints, and you don't want to screw with that because if you mess around and come back too early, that thing could plague you the rest of your career. So you want to be careful with that. Chuck, thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed the call. That was a fun game to call. The Illini played well. UCLA played well, came back and made it a game, but the Illini held on. But thank you for that. What's up, TM? No, that stranger things have happened, guys. Keep the faith. Season's not done. A lot of basketball left to be played. What are you guys going to say if Illinois beats Duke in Madison Square Garden? You going to jump back on the bandwagon? Have faith. Season's not over. A lot of basketball left to be played. Keep the faith. Robert, yeah, I don't know if it's I think the communication lines are clear. They just haven't been able to figure it out. I don't know if Brad needs to be more involved because if you guys notice, Brad has really tried to, I know the league went to the players and they wanted the bench decorum to be a lot better this year. That's why, Fran McCaffrey, guys that are normally really up and animated and whatnot, Brad used to be up and animated, and he does from time to time. But I think that, him trying to really pull back and show less emotion, I think this is the team that needs more direction and emotion and guidance. And maybe he'll do that because one thing Brad is not afraid to do, he's not afraid to make changes. So Stacy said the Illini went away from what was going well, getting into the paint. I don't necessarily disagree with you, Stacy. I do want to give Michigan State some credit, though. Defensively, they have become a lot better. They're number 13 in Ken Palm defensive efficiency. This is a very good defensive team. And they put the clamps on the Illini down the stretch. Curtis, a lot of basketball left. You said that the Illini would win 22 games. Let's see where the Illini are. They're only 5 more games. The Illini has 17 and 19. You guys don't think they can win 5 more games? So at Wisconsin's going to be tough. Duke's going to be tough. Hosting Iowa, I think they can win that game. At Michigan, going to be tough. And then Purdue at home is going to be tough. But then you've got Big Ten conference tournament games. And then you got NCAA tournament games. I think the Illini get to 22 wins. But that's a good call on your part, though. Do you guys feel the same way as Carol Popoquette feels, that the Illini is snake bitten? Do you all agree with this? Hey, Carol, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in as always. Good to see you, Captain Fletcher. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're back in Vegas enjoying yourself. No, I think Brad's staff is they're plenty able. These guys are really, really good. They've got a really good staff. Jeff Alexander, Orlando Antigua, they know what they're doing. Tyler Underwood, Zach, those guys, they know what they're doing. I don't necessarily think he needs a veteran assistant or anything like that. They just got to figure out how. To me, I just think that Brad needs to be a little bit more involved. I think he needs to coach more. He needs to coach this younger team coach them up more, call more timeouts, give them more instruction. Even when he thinks they can play through it, I think they need that. Yeah, the ACC is down, and those teams are good. I would agree with that. The ACC is down. Let's see. Trey still sick, or is he out of rotation? I think he's sick. I think he's sick, James. But again, I saw him warm up against UCLA. I thought he was going to play. Brad chose not to play him, so I don't know. Yeah, Thomas, they do love the three, don't they? We'll see if things change moving forward, but it's going to be tough to beat teams. You know, I think that Oregon game where Illinois set a record for most threes made and most points scored against a top 10 opponent on the road. That really put the Illini in the mindset that they can always get that back, that the potential for an Oregon game is there, and it is there, the potential of it, but the likelihood of it happening is not there right now. It's just not. Pardon me. And the Illini, I don't know. I think that memory of that Oregon game may be haunting them a little bit. That's just my opinion. Good to see you, Thomas. Remember, guys, you want to join the tribe like Thomas Dagley, like Carol Poquette, like Curtis Dietz. Text me, 312-847-2739, or you can go to, where is it? You can join the tribe. Well, will it come up? Well, join the tribe. Go to bardostribe.com, BARDOS tribe.com. Get your free copy of Guide to the New Big Ten. It'll sign you up for the newsletter, and you'll become a part of the tribe. All right, let me get back to. Ooh, wait a minute. All right, here we go. Where was I? Is Tyler really the offensive coordinator, like you said during the UCLA? Yes. Okay. No, he's the offensive coordinator. Tyler's in charge of the offense. Has been for at least the last couple seasons. Captain, the guys that I played with, Ken Norman, Kendall Gill, Nick Anderson, Kenny Battle, Deion Thomas, who was, I didn't get a chance to play with him, but he was Prop 48 his freshman year, my senior year. But those five guys I was involved with. So those are the five guys that I played with and had some involvement with whose jerseys are retired. Well, Chuck, the 3-point shot wasn't quite the tool that people use like they use now. They didn't use that back then, even though, I shot 46%. I was third in Illinois program history in terms of 3-point shooting percentage. I didn't have a ton of 3-point looks, but it wasn't much of a weapon, and I believe it only came into play my junior year in college. I believe either my sophomore or junior year in college when the 3-point line came into effect. Yeah, Jillian, I was upset. It is very embarrassing. And I don't think that he's going to throw a fit at all. Because Terrence is a class kid, class act. His family's a class act. I don't think he's going to throw a fit, but I sure needs to. John, I agree. He had the best season I don't think he was the best player to ever play at Illinois. I think he had the best season. I don't think he was better than Nick Anderson or Kendall Gill or Kenny Battle for that matter. Um, three of my teammates. I don't think he was better than Darren Williams or D Brown. There's several players that I think were better than Terrence Shannon. I think he had the best season. I don't think he was the best player. All right, Carol, this is good. Yeah, maybe Carol, but you got to play. If you're able to play, you got to play. You got to come out and play. I mean, and I know those guys want to get out there and hoop. But they need all hands on deck right now for the Illini. Just the way that they're struggling. Get them. They need to get back in there. Oh wow. Okay. Domas is over in Germany playing good. That's a good league, and I think that he can make some good money there, and he'd be a good fit. So kudos. Thank you for sharing that, Thomas. I appreciate it. Thank you, Son Taurus 9. I think this is your first time on Bardo's Breakdown. If it is, welcome. Thanks for joining. Good to hear from you, and thank you for the compliments. I appreciate you. Ooh, Glenn Blackwell, my Illini brother, coming in with a good, interesting take here. He thinks this could be a tough game for Wisconsin after the emotional win at Purdue. That's well said, Glenn. Yeah, it will show what Wisconsin's made of. But I think, Glenn, I do think though there could be an emotional letdown. But I think this Wisconsin team is old enough to understand what type of offensive firepower this Illini team is bringing into the fold. Because the game at Illinois early in the year was 86-80, Illinois winning, and it was an up-tempo game. And so I think these Badgers understand what's coming, but could be a letdown. But great point, Glenn. Thanks for tuning in, man. Love you, bro. Okay, Ray. I don't call you crazy. I think this Illini team is built for a deep run because the teams that they'll be going up against, they're not other Big Ten teams who's been able to see all their games and scout them quite the way that Big Ten teams do. I think that I don't think that's crazy at all. I tend to agree with you. Thanks for tuning in, Ray. Good to see you. I don't think there's any question about it. Hoop baller scoop. Dusty May is the Big Ten Coach of the Year. Even if Michigan doesn't finish first, when you look at how he overhauled the roster and the fact that they're winning all these close games, Michigan, I talked about it early in the show, Michigan has ripped off 6 games in a row. And in those 6 games, all 6 victories have been by 4 points or less. Think about that for a second. That's a great stat, right? And so let's look at Michigan. And in their conference play, the early 2 games, they went to Wisconsin and won by 3. Then they host Iowa and win by 2. Then they come back in the conference play, and let's see the other game. They go to Minnesota and lose by 3. Then they come back home and win by 4 against Northwestern. Remember, they got blitzed 91-64 at Purdue, and they've ripped off 6 in a row since. Yep. So it's a good Wisconsin team. And it's going to be interesting to see. And yes, but this Michigan team, Dusty May is the Big Ten Coach of the Year. There's no question about it. Oh, wow. Dory, good, man. I'm glad you're going to get a chance to go see Illinois in the House of Pain. I will not be at that game, but please enjoy yourself and root them on to a big time win against a rival there. Uh, Jillian, what are you referring to? I guess he didn't get the memo. Oh, you mean in terms of Tom Izzo possibly being the Big Ten Coach of the Year? I mean, he'd be in discussion, but I think Dusty May. I think he's a clear cut winner. Uh-oh. Stephen Paul, all the way from Puerto Rico, he smells an upset. He likes the Illini over Duke in Madison Square Garden. You, this is an Illini alum, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, and ironically, his brother is calling me at the same time. How ironic is that? I'm talking to my oldest, I call him Pride, and then Joy calls me on the phone. How cool is that? Love you, Stephen Paul. I hope you're right. It'd be the Illini definitely need a big win like that. That'd be huge for their confidence and for the program. Kenneth, no, I don't think it hurt player development. Um, could they utilize those guys' voices in the huddles? Yeah, I think both of them were very valuable. Tim Anderson and Chester Fraser to the Illini staff. I definitely think they could help. Curtis Johnson, there was a point in the second half where we threw up 3 threes in a possession, missed all three. Um, yeah, they just have to. They need leadership down the stretch, Curtis. That's what I see, a lack of leadership. Guys understanding what's a good shot, where the ball needs to go, how to break a run, how to stop a run from an opposing team. You don't come down and jack threes. You try to get a higher quality look, preferably later in the shot clock, but that comes from experience. And Kylan Boswell is the player that has the most experience on the floor that is in a leadership position, being at the guard position. And yet I just don't see that leadership on display on the floor right now. Um, yes, sir. Captain Fletcher talking about he's cancer free. Congratulations, my man. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. And those prayers worked out. That's great. Enjoy your life, brother. Enjoy it. Um, what's the difference in having your jersey retired and all the names in the rafters at State Farm Center? I think it's the same. It's the same, Curtis. I think that they call it the Ring of Honor. It's having your jersey retired. Same thing. No, Tyson, I don't do women's college basketball, but I did see the highlights of Juju Watkins. I tell you what I did watch though. I watched UConn put it on South Carolina at South Carolina yesterday. I think the final score was 71-40. Fudge Azes Azes. Whoo, she's tough. Oh my gosh. Paige Beckers didn't even have to go off. But Fudge, oh, she had a game. She had a career day yesterday. They beat South Carolina like they stole something. I did watch that one. That was a heck of a game. Um, yeah, boo. I noticed the turnovers, and he had some critical ones too. He had some critical ones. Um, but that's been his MO all season, where he just has some worst case scenario turnovers. You can see him have those. And so he only got credited for 2 turnovers yesterday. I thought I saw more. Evasich was credited for 3. I thought I saw more down the stretch, Larry, than what he was credited. But I know what you're saying. Um, Curtis D says Gill and Cook led the conference in scoring. So you could say they had the best seasons. Shannon had 2 great years. D Brown probably had the best 4-year career at Illinois. That's hard. That's hard to argue. That's a good point, Curtis. That is hard to argue there. Uh, Let's see. Elizabeth Shaw, I think this is your first time on Bardo's Breakdown. If it is, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Great to see you on here. Stayed after the game and they fixed the banner. It took 3 minutes. TSJ got pictures. From broadcaster's perspective, why couldn't have delayed halftime ending by 2 to 3 minutes to fix then? Crowd would have roared. Yeah, Elizabeth, I'm not sure. I think they were so embarrassed that you got to keep those things moving. And when it's a nationally televised game, you can't push things back. You've got to stay on a clock on a certain schedule. So I don't think they were able to do that. Yeah, I think Duke is a winnable game. Yep, I do. No, Phil, no despair. You're a true fan. You want the best for your team. No knock against that. Um, all right. It looks like that'll do. I got to everybody. I think. Remember, guys, if you want to join the tribe, text me 312-847-2739 and like, share, and subscribe to Bardo Media on YouTube. It really helps the algorithm. And I appreciate you guys tuning in and taking the time to join me today on Bardo's Breakdown. This is one of the shorter ones that we've had in a while, which is all right with me. But tune in. If you got any questions, come back to this. Put the questions up in Bardo's Breakdown group on Facebook. I'll get to it as quickly as I can. Thank you all for tuning in. Should be another fun week of Big Ten basketball. I cannot believe the conference race is down to the last 3 weeks. So, Big Ten fans, please enjoy your teams. Enjoy Big Ten conference play. And I will holler at you all next time. Holla, y'all.